Hello. After watching this video, please subscribe to my channel. Please like this video and leave comments for me. Thank you. In this video, you will learn about the imaginary unit I and how to find the square root of a negative number. Let's start by solving x squared plus 1 equals 0. We want to isolate x, so start by subtracting 1 from both sides. X squared is left on this side. 1 minus 1 is 0, equals negative 1. To isolate x, you need to take the square root of each side. So square root x squared equals square root negative 1. The square root of x squared, which number do you multiply or expression do you multiply to give you x squared, is x. As far as you know, there's nothing you can multiply by itself to give you negative 1. So we're going to leave this as plus, minus, positive or negative 1 right now. So up until this point, you've been told that there are no real number solutions for the square root of a negative number. Because, of course, you know that there's no number you can multiply by itself to give you a negative number. For example, when we say the square root of 9 is positive or negative 3, we mean that if you multiply 3 by itself, you will get 9. If you multiply negative 3 by itself, you will also get 9. Let's think about square root negative 1. If you multiply negative 1 by itself, you're going to get 1. If you multiply 1 by itself, you're going to get 1. So there's nothing you can multiply by itself to give you negative 1. So although there are no real number solutions, the solution can in fact be represented by a number so complex that it is imaginary. We use I, the imaginary unit I, to represent the square root of negative 1. Therefore, the square root of any negative number will contain the imaginary unit I. We're going to simplify radical negative 16 or the square root of negative 16. First, rewrite negative 16 as the square root of 16 times square root negative 1. Okay, so bear in mind we know that we can represent square root negative 1 with I. 16 is a perfect square, so the square root of 16 is 4. And we're going to rewrite square root negative 1 as I. So the answer to this is 4i. Next example, simplify the square root of negative 144. Rewrite this as square root 144 times square root negative 1. Square root of 144 is 12, whole number 12. We're going to represent square root of negative 1 with I. So the answer to this is 12i. Next example, square root negative 45. Again, first step. Square root negative, that would not be correct. Square root 45 times square root negative 1. Now 45 is not a perfect square, but we can simplify it further. So on the side over here, 45, if you can find the largest perfect square factor of 45, then you can start there. The largest perfect square factor is square root 9. 9 times 45, 9 times 5 gives you 45. Square root of 9 is whole number 3. 5 is not a perfect square, so rewrite as square root 5. So we're going to replace square root 45 with 3 radical 5 times I. And in simplest form, this is 3I radical 5. Simplify the square root of negative 200. Start by writing square root 200 times square root negative 1. 200 is not a perfect square. However, we can simplify that further. Largest perfect square factor is 100, and 100 times 2 gives you 200. The square root of 100 is 10, whole number 10, and square root 2 cannot be simplified any further, so 10 radical 2, which we will use to replace square root 200. Answer to this, 10I radical 2. Please remember to subscribe to my channel. Remember to like this video, and please leave comments. Thank you so much for watching.